Hey, what's going on? I'm Matt O'Leary back with another video, and today I'll be looking at the Jets positional groups and ranking them in terms of which positional group is the best and where do they fall. Are they elite, good, average, below average, or just straight up yikes? So we'll start on offense, work our way over to defense. So our first positional group we will look at is the quarterback room. Now, this is looking at the entire thing, not necessarily just the starters. That the starters are obviously going to play a big role in this, but just the quarterback room in general. I'm going to say that the quarterback room in general is average. I don't think it's necessarily fair to say that Zach Wilson, putting him in the good or elite category, and below average, I don't think that's necessarily fair either. I would like a veteran. That would make me feel a lot more comfortable looking at this quarterback room with a veteran in here. James Morgan as QB2 right now scares me. Mike White as a potential backup also scares me. Really not a whole lot of depth or a lot of unknown, I guess, just completely in the room, but specifically behind Zach Wilson. I'm going to say average. Maybe you could have sold me on below average. It's definitely not yikes. I don't think you could at this point say good. So it's either below average or average. So I'm just going to go right down the middle and say that it is average. And again, I'm going to kind of change these rankings as we go and move things around and have it in an order for you at the end of all of this. So next position we will look at is the running back room, which I'm going to say is also average. And I'm going to put them behind quarterback because I don't think there's a potential star in this group, but I do think it is a deep group when you look at the three guys who I think are going to get the most touches: Michael Carter, Ty Johnson, Tevin Coleman. That's an okay running back trio. It's not amazing. I wouldn't even say that it's good. I think it's okay, and they can get by with an okay running back room because, well, when you look at it, the entire offense that they're going to be running is very much so surrounded by the logic of a running back by committee. So I absolutely think they can get by with it, and I think they'll be just fine with their running back room. Let's go offensive line next, and I think they're below average right now. I don't think they're quite there yet, and yes, I would put them behind quarterback and running back. I like what they have on the left side. Right tackle, I think Fant is okay. But center and right guard are leaving a little bit to be desired. And sure, McGovern can get better, and maybe someone surprises that right guard. But that right guard spot still looks like it's going to be a weak point. I don't think you could confidently say that this is one of the better offensive line units in the league. It's definitely improved over the last 2 years, but it still needs some work. It's trending in the right direction, but it is still, as of right now, a below average offensive line group. Looking at the wide receivers up next, this is good. They don't have necessarily have a star, but they are 5 deep and 5 guys that I really like a lot and have a unique role in what they're going to be doing in this offense. You'd imagine that their lead receiver is Corey Davis. Is he a prototypical number 1 receiver? Absolutely not. Is he someone who can give you 800, 900 receiving yards and be solid? Yeah, absolutely. Then you have Denzel Mims, who flashed a little bit as a rookie, and I think played pretty well, all things considering, and I think he's going to take a step forward, so I like him a lot. Crowder is a very reliable slot piece. Elijah Moore is an explosive wide receiver who has been crushing it in rookie camp and mini camp. I think he's going to be very good. And then after that, you have Keelan Cole, who's a wide receiver that I really like a lot. So I think this is a deep group, and because of the 5 deep that they have, that puts them slightly above average. I think good or average is where you would find this group. And I like the wide receiver room better than I like the quarterback and running back room. So to me, I think they fall underneath good. And the last position that we're going to talk about today on the offensive side of the ball is the tight end group. And I'm going to put them below average and below the offensive line. There's a ton of question marks there. Chris Herndon has not been the same since his rookie year. Tyler Kroft, I think, is okay as a blocking tight end. Outside of that, I mean, Ryan Griffin, after his injury, don't know if he's going to be able to play at the level that he once did in 2019. He really did not have a good year at all last year in 2020. Expectations are not very high there, but this could potentially become maybe average, but I don't love this tight end room. It needs some work going forward, that's for sure. So let's take a look at the defensive side of the ball, and we will start with their best unit on the entire team, and that is the defensive line. Far and away, the most depth on that line, the most talent on that line. Quinnen Williams going into year 3 should be a Pro Bowl caliber to all pro, even potentially caliber interior defensive lineman. I think we're going to see a huge year from Carl Lawson. I think he could be pushing double-digit sacks, which would be awesome for the New York Jets. And there's a ton of really good depth guys on this team. Sheldon Rankins, if he's healthy, should be really good. Folufado Kasi is great against the run. Kyle Phillips is a nice rotational guy. John Franklin Myers, Vinny Curry. They are a really, really deep unit, probably a top 5 unit in the NFL. And to me, that is elite. And I don't think you could even question what the best unit on this team is. It's the defensive line, and it's really not close. Next thing we'll look at is the linebackers, and I am going to put them below average, but in front of offensive line, if you'll let me do the switch. Yes, there we go. Because of CJ Mosley. I know he hasn't played in a couple of years, so that brings it down a little bit of a notch. But I do think he could be a decent starter in today's in today's NFL. I think he could be a decent starter. I don't know if he's going to be elite level starter anymore. Outside of that, there's a lot of question marks. Jared Davis, I think is someone who maybe turns it around after being from a really dumpster fire Detroit over there, and I think they were not using him properly. But that's a question mark. Potentially having to start a late round rookie in the 5th or 6th round, that's a question mark. Blake Cashman can't stay healthy. That's a huge question mark. So while they do have some top end talent in CJ Mosley, I don't think the line is, or the linebacker group rather, is all that deep. I'm going to go with the Jets' worst positional group next, which is yikes, and that's the cornerback room. I think this group significantly needs some help. Now, I like Bryce Hall a lot. I think he is solid. I think he's going to be a solid starter, probably more of a number 2 corner, which is fine. But outside of that, question marks galore. Michael Carter, who was a late round pick, and Javelin Guidry, who was a UDFA last year, are battling it out for the slot corner spot right now. You have a ton of late round picks and undrafted free agents battling it out for another starting job. Bless Austin, 6th round pick. Pinnock was a 5th or 6th round pick. Then you have undrafted free agents Lamar Jackson and Isaiah Dunn. There's a ton of guys here, and there's a ton of bodies here, but this positional group is not quite there yet. This team is going to give up points because their cornerbacks are inexperienced, and yeah, maybe they'll flash. And like I said, I like Bryce Hall. I think he has the most promise in this group. But other than that, it's a cornerback room that could definitely use some help and potentially some veteran leadership if they think. The last group we're going to talk about is safety, and I am going to put them in good and in front of wide receiver. And the reason for that is Marcus May. He's a top 10 safety in football. The Jets don't have a top 10 wide receiver in football, so that gives them a slight edge there. I think people are sleeping on Joyner. Him moving back to his original position is going to be really solid on this team. When you look at what he did with the Raiders, I don't think it was great, but I think he was playing out of position there with that Las Vegas Raiders team. So I think him moving back to safety, his more natural position, is going to help a lot. Then you have Ashton Davis, who I think is someone who is probably going to start this year. Really, really good athlete. Little bit raw still. Not going to lie, he's a little bit raw still, but I would still classify this as a good safety group with the 3 of those guys in here. And this, I guess, leads me to my order of the positional groups on offense and defense. I think defensive line is by far the best. Then I'll go safety, wide receiver, quarterback, running back. So that's my top 5, right? I would say that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then linebacker, offensive line, tight end, and corner, with corner definitely being the weakest point on this team. So I will link this tier maker down below in the comments, and you can make your own and tweet it at me, or send me a message with your tier rankings. But just wanted to do another tier thing. These are fun. I might include some more of these in the future here. So let me know, how'd I do? Make sure to subscribe if you're new, and I'll talk to you next time.